Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Diaspora Network, where we celebrate Nigerians making remarkable strides around the world. I'm Teniola Oyetayo. On today's program, our focus is once again on the field of medicine. We highlight Nigerians whose research is helping tackle life-threatening conditions. And then we hear from our guest, Dr. Timileyin Oluseye, who recently made history as the first doctor in his residency program to sweep all 8 top awards. He speaks to us about overcoming rejection and leaning on faith. But first, here's a look at what's making headlines across the global Nigerian community.
85 Nigerians have earned the prestigious Chevening and Commonwealth scholarships to pursue postgraduate studies in the United Kingdom in 2025. The awardees include 39 Chevening Scholars, 1 Chevening Fellow, and 45 Commonwealth Scholars. At a departure ceremony held in Abuja to celebrate recipients, British Deputy High Commissioner Jill Lever commended the scholars, describing their selection as the outcome of a highly competitive process, while British Council Nigeria's Director of Programs urges them to seize the opportunity to contribute to national development. 29-year-old Maureen Onu has made history with a first-class honours degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Wolverhampton, UK. She also received the FBC Mambi Boulder Prize for achieving the highest GPA in her field. Aerospace engineering, known for its rigorous demands, involves the design and testing of aircraft, spacecraft, and satellites. Born in Dublin to Nigerian parents, Dr. Ichita and Mrs. Little Mary Onu of Indiowu, Anambra State, Maureen's educational journey has spanned Ireland, Nigeria, and the UK. With her outstanding record, she has secured admission to study robotics at the University of Birmingham, a Russell Group university. On the sporting front, 17-year-old Abdul Jabbar Adama became the first Nigerian swimmer to win a medal at the World Aquatics Junior Swimming Championships in Romania. He clinched silver in the men's 50 meters butterfly with a time of 23.64 seconds, narrowly behind Britain's Dean Fearn. In the same competition, Adama broke 2 Nigerian records in a single day, lowering his time from 23.81 to 23.61 in the preliminaries, then to 23.48 in the semifinals. Trained at the Mount Kelly Swimming Academy in the UK, Adama is fast emerging as a promising star, with the 50 meters butterfly newly approved for Olympic competition. He is now a potential finalist for the 2028 Los Angeles Games. And that's your Diaspora News Wrap.
Medicine is one of the most discussed themes here on Diaspora Network. From leading nanoscientists to pioneering medical researchers, Nigerians are making significant impact in the global scientific community. In our special report this week, we take a look at some Nigerians shaping the future of medicine and the importance of their research in transforming healthcare and saving lives.
Over the years, the field of medicine has witnessed remarkable advancements, transforming patient care and health outcomes worldwide. From the development of groundbreaking treatments and technologies to the implementation of innovative healthcare systems, the progress in medical science has been profound. Notably, Nigerians have played a pivotal role in these advancements.
What we really want to do is engage our patients to embrace genetics research.
Dr. Olufumilayo Olopade, with her research in breast cancer genetics, has revolutionized our understanding and treatment of the disease, particularly among African-American women.
I've been working on genetics from the very moment I went into my research laboratory because I wanted to find new ways to treat and prevent cancer.
She began her career in 1980 as a medical officer at the Nigerian Navy Hospital after graduating from the University of Ibadan. Now, as a Walter L. Palmer Distinguished Service Professor of Medicine and Human Genetics at the University of Chicago, her pioneering work has led to significant advancements in early detection, prevention, and treatment of breast cancer, providing hope to many patients worldwide. Similarly, Dr. Samuel Achilefu, a Nigerian-born biomedical engineer, is known for his innovations in optical imaging and cancer treatment. As a professor and chair of the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, he is an expert in the molecular imaging of human diseases. He gained international recognition for developing cancer-targeting optical goggles that allow surgeons to see cancer cells in real time during surgery, improving the precision and effectiveness of cancer removal. Dr. Onyema Ogbuagu, a Nigerian-American medical doctor, led the Pfizer trial for the coronavirus vaccine in the United States. His groundbreaking research in the field of modified genetic code has earned him recognition for finding a solution to a global pandemic. Dr. Ogbuagu is an associate professor of medicine, an infectious disease specialist, and the director of the HIV Clinical Trials Program at the Yale AIDS Program section of infectious diseases at Yale School of Medicine. He has spent years investigating some of the world's most pervasive infectious diseases, including HIV and AIDS and Ebola. These and many more Nigerian researchers have distinguished themselves through their contribution towards the development of medicine globally.
As always, we've been following the activities of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. This week, the Presidency and NIDCOM align on high-impact diaspora engagement strategies. Plus, the NIDCOM boss receives a Libya returnee who was rescued after a viral video.
During his recent visit to Brazil, President Bola Tinubu met with Nigerians and Afro-Brazilian descendants in a town hall organized by Chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa. The president emphasized Nigeria's commitment to technological advancement and food security, drawing lessons from Brazil's development model.
We give priority to development. Once upon a time, we can look back on history with heart that Brazil and Nigeria were on the same level of development. Look at us today and look at Brazil. It is necessary for you to be challenged, and we are. Personally, I am challenged. Ready to work. We can do it. There's nothing we set our mind to that we cannot do. Look at the technological development of this country. Look at the ability of this nation to achieve food sovereignty. Just imagine. What do they have that we don't have? We have everything. We have the brain. We have the energy. Yes.
Back in Abuja, Mrs. Dabiri Erewa met with Presidential Advisor Hadiza Bala Usman, who reinforced the presidency's focus on diaspora engagement. Their discussion centered on leveraging diaspora contributions in health, remittances, climate action, and trade to drive national growth.
I believe there may be things that you're doing that we're not capturing within our delivery structure. So we'd like for you to relook at what you're doing that is not within the scope of what we're tracking, to see if those things are considered high impact and what they mean for your organization, and we can put them. What this does is that it becomes in the eye of the president, so he's aware that this is something that is being done. Sometimes we spend a lot of energy on deliverables that are not being captured. So you are spending a lot of time, energy, and resources on something that the president is not seeing you doing. So this is why I'm glad you're here, and I would like for us to look at that, if there's anything that you're doing that we haven't captured. But if indeed everything is the way it is, then it's fine. We can see what we can do to enhance collaboration.
In the last 6 years, we can at least hospitals, business that have come to Nigeria, and we have them with the NDI, so we can do that. But we need to be supported to get it done.
Okay.
Now we're basically working with nothing. So it's even difficult going on those engagements. And now, Mr. President has started his diaspora engagements. So he himself
he has restricted them from the last few trips I saw.
So Brazil, I mean, Brazil was wonderful, you know. And I had 1 hour to do it because you still get there. They will tell you it's not in the program, and you have to push. If I wasn't ready, we would not have to. We did St. Lucia, fantastic. And when people will say, why did you go? They are telling them we're happy you came. So I think now it's going to be a permanent part of we can put that together and send to you with the NDIS report, because that's why we started Diaspora Investment Summit.
So do we put the trust fund?
Yes. So to be delivered, and everything is ready, the paper is there. We must have a pool of, that will be managed by the private sector, by the diaspora. Diaspora Returning Fund. So that when
returnee fund,
let me explain to you.
Yes,
Somebody
please.
wants to come and set up a business, right? The trust fund is there putting their money.
Yes.
The returning fund should be a federal government thing. What are you doing for these people? So there are two different things. One is bringing money, one is showing commitment.
Mrs. Dabiri Erewa has credited the recent surge in diaspora remittances rising from $200 million to $600 million monthly to the central bank's reforms and growing trust in Nigeria's financial system. Echoing the CBN governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso's optimism, she projected remittances could hit $1 billion monthly by 2026. She reaffirmed NIDCOM's commitments to diaspora inclusion through initiatives like the Diaspora Investment Summit, National Diaspora Day, and global outreach programs. The NIDCOM boss also paid a 2-day working visit to Cross River State for the official inauguration of the pioneering Cross River State Diaspora Commission office. The office is expected to serve as a hub for connection, engagement, and empowerment of diasporans, while also driving socio-economic growth and sustainable partnerships. And in a humanitarian effort, Mrs. Dabiri Erewa received Mercy Oluwagbenga, a young Nigerian rescued from Libya after a viral plea for help. Mercy shared her harrowing experience and urged youth to avoid irregular migration. The NIDCOM boss pledged continued advocacy and collaboration to protect Nigerians and combat human trafficking.
And now to our guest, from battling language barriers and racism in Russia to years of rejection before finally breaking through in the United States, Dr. Timileyin Oluseye made history this year at Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center, where he swept all 8 residency awards in a single year. Born and raised in Lagos, medicine was a natural calling for Dr. Timileyin Oluseye.
I was brought up in a family of 4. I pretty much grew up knowing everything about medicine and music within a faith-based family. My father is an inaugural and maxillofacial surgeon. He worked through Lagos State government, rose to become a chief medical director within the Lagos State Health Service Commission. And all my siblings are surgeons. So we kind of grew up just knowing everything about medicine. And my dad taught us how to play musical instruments. So we were, just kind of between that medicine and music.
Though surrounded by medicine, his own journey was far from straightforward. After earning a degree in microbiology, he faced repeated setbacks trying to study medicine in Nigeria and the UK. Eventually, he found his way to Russia.
My pathway has always been unconventional. It wasn't a very straightforward process for me to go to Russia to study medicine. I initially tried to get to study medicine in Nigeria, especially in Lagos. Despite the connections that my dad had as a surgeon, it was just not working out. And I kind of found myself within Olabisi Onabanjo University studying microbiology after doing pre-degree science. This was probably about 24, 25 years ago. And eventually I just try to do everything I could. I finished my first degree in microbiology, but I knew that's not really what I wanted to do. So I really had my eyes set on the goal. So I had a stint for a year where I worked in Abuja, and I eventually traveled to Russia to study medicine.
The transition was anything but easy. Dr. Oluseye faced harsh winters, language barriers, and racism in a country where many had little exposure to diversity. After just a few months, he considered returning home, but faith and community anchored him.
It was very tough. So I battled a lot of difficult language barrier. So, you go to a country where the English letters, for example, the letter T in English is the letter M in English is the letter T in Russia. The letter S in English is the letter C in Russia. And so every other thing was just kind of upside down. So there was a huge language barrier. There was a culture shock for me because a lot of these people, most of them are not open to diversity in terms of just meeting other people who are colored from other countries. Most of them stay around. The very few of them that travel out of the country and kind of watch other kinds of programs about, other countries, kind of understand the gig. But those who are just native Russians are like really, really native Russians. So I did battle a lot of racism too. But those who were really kind were kind.
When we return from a quick break, we hear more from Dr. Oluseye, including his advice to others navigating uncertainty and rejection. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on the program. Now more from our conversation with Dr. Timileyin Oluseye, including his advice to young Nigerians in the diaspora and his dream of one day returning to establish a medical practice in Nigeria. He went on to excel in his studies, graduating with distinction, a red diploma, Russia's highest academic honor. However, he went on to face years of rejections in the United States.
My dream and my goal was to be a US board-certified family physician. And I started traveling during summer just to go around to see how the system works. I would go to England and then kind of check how the system works. And then I'll go to the United States and see how the system works. And I realized that I think the United States would fit much more into my dream and my goal of becoming a board-certified family physician. So that's where the journey started. It wasn't a very straightforward process, to be honest. And, I completed my 6-year medical training in Russia. I, by the grace of God, finished with a red diploma, and that's equivalent to you finishing with multiple distinctions. And eventually I was like, well, so this entire thing I thought was a setup for me, or was just a setback for me rather, eventually became a setup into greater achievement. So not only did that happen, immediately I left Russia, I just moved over to the United States. I did all the board exams, I did all my clinical rotations and everything I was supposed to do. But then it became very, very tough for me to get into a residency program. So I would get a couple of interviews and then some of them would say, oh, we're not taking you up. I had barriers because I wasn't a US citizen, I didn't have a green card, and a couple of more things, but that just didn't work out for me, even despite the fact that I had completed all the requirements to get in as a resident family physician. So it wasn't that straightforward. I was there for 2 years. After I finished 2 years, I wasn't getting in. I left and I moved into Antigua. So I went to Antigua. I started practicing as a physician. I did my internship in Antigua. I was a house officer. And then it was COVID. And I was a little stuck in Canada because there I went to visit my brother in Canada. Then during COVID, I went back to Antigua to practice as a physician. And all the while I was applying into the US year after year, but was still getting rejections.
Despite the setbacks, he persevered, relocating to England to practice as a physician. It was there that a defining turning point unfolded for him and his newlywed wife.
I then shifted base to England as a temporary measure, just spending the time, I get a spot in the US. So I had to go through all the process of becoming a physician in England. I did all the abroad exams. I did everything I was supposed to do, and eventually I became a physician in England. I was practicing in England, and within 10 months of me practicing in England, I got accepted into the US when I was about to, it was my last shot. And I remember my wife was also in the same, I think we were on the same boat, and she was actually done. And she was like, oh, I think we're just going to stay in England and then do everything we have to do in England. But then I said, let's give this a last shot. Let's give this just a last shot, the final shot. And at that final shot, so I was 10 months into practicing in England, and then it worked out for me. And that's when I moved to the US as a resident physician. So it wasn't a very straightforward process as people think it was. But I could say that when I didn't want to give that final shot, like I said, I grew up in a faith-based environment. I had a revelation. Like, it was a very clear revelation. There's not that I don't think I've ever had any revelation as clear as that. And there was a voice that told me, ensure you don't miss out on your blessing. And I found myself I knew it was a hospital with like other resident physicians and students, but I knew it wasn't England for sure. It was the United States. And I said, okay, because of this, I'm going to give this a final shot. Otherwise, I probably won't have given that a final shot. And that was when that happened. And I moved over to the United States back. And that's how the entire residency process started in the United States. And it was very, very challenging because at the time, I got married just about 2-3 months before that happened. So I was kind of separated from my wife. She was in England and I was in the United States. And then it was just more of, wow, so what am I going to be doing? Am I going to come join you? And she's like, I'm definitely not coming to join you if I'm not going to be working as a physician, because she also has her own dream. She has a dream even beyond residency as a physician. So I said, well, if God made a way for me, I'm sure he would make a way for you too. And within a year of me moving into the United States, she didn't just join me as a resident physician in the United States. We were in the same residency program, which is an extremely rare, it's something that happens it's very, very, very rare for you to have you and your wife in the same residency program in the same department. And it was just all divine. Like, it was just all about God. I mean, a lot of people think, well, religion. I could say my work, faith without works is dead. I did everything I could. I did my own part, but I think it was quite divine for that to have happened.
This year, Dr. Oluseye became the first physician in his program's history to sweep all 8 top residency awards.
I wasn't expecting it. When you're just in an environment where, you just got through and God came through for you, and then you were just like, well, let me just finish and go. And it was very uplifting for me. It just gave me that vibe of, you know what, you can trust God almost always, every time. I felt very embarrassed at some point because I thought there was just so much attention shifted towards me. And even people I didn't expect were also very, very ecstatic about it. But truthfully, it's like the first time they called, it was like, okay, we're giving this to me. Second time, I didn't have a problem. They were giving this to me. And the third time, and then when it got to the fourth time, and I was like, wow, okay. And then, all along, it's like your name is just being called back from back to back to back to back. It was very, very emotional for me. I'm sure the video is going around at some point. I hardly shed tears, but I did shed tears at the time because I just couldn't control how grateful I was to God and to those who had helped me throughout my journey. When I got into that program, I put the program on my shoulder. I kind of made it my project to just get everything going, to improve in every facet in the program. So I tried to be, I was moving towards perfection in pretty much almost everything I was doing. So patient care, trying to be extremely professional, trying to just ensure that, I had an environment where I wouldn't just thrive, the patients would thrive, all those working around me would thrive. I was looking after everybody. I was also I was getting better at my knowledge and in my clinical practice by educating myself every day. I would read at least a journal every day, especially if I'm not on call over the weekends. I got a lot of innovation from just studying and studying and studying. I'm a lifelong learner, and I love to teach as well. So even if I love to study, I love to also impart knowledge to other people, so that would ensure continuity. So I was just there, just doing my thing, and I tried my best. I made Christ my cornerstone, even if I wasn't perfect at all, and it just happened.
Today, he's an attending hospitalis physician at Ascension Sacred Heart Hospital in Florida.
I'll just advise, stay resilient. Don't let rejection define you. Root yourself in faith, in purpose, in service. Ensure that you build meaningful networks everywhere you go. Embrace opportunities across cultures, because you might not know there's a whole lot of opportunities you can actually access. Ensure that you keep pushing forward, even if the path feels uncertain. That's extremely important. Growth often comes through discomfort, but perseverance and integrity will carry you to your destination. I realize that, you cannot have everything, but sometimes you need to ask yourself, what do you have? What do you need and what do you want? Now, what you have can't always get you what you want, but it can get you what you need. As long as you have life, there's hope, and then you can move forward.
Looking ahead, Dr. Oluseye hopes to return to Nigeria in the future to establish a medical practice with his siblings while continuing to mentor the next generation of doctors. He recently published a book to inspire young professionals navigating adversity and to remind them that setbacks can become setups for greater breakthroughs. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of Diaspora Network. To watch more episodes celebrating Nigerians in the diaspora, visit channelstv.com or our YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Teniola Oyetayo. Thanks for watching.